In a faraway nation, a Raja had an only son who went hunting every day. His mother, the Rani, once told him, "You can hunt wherever you like on these 3 sides, but you must never go to the 4th side." She said this because she was aware that if he went to the 4th side, he would learn about the lovely Princess Labam and that he would then decide to leave his mother and father and go in search of the princess. For a while, the young prince listened to his mother and followed her orders, but one day, while out hunting on the 3 sides where he was permitted to go, he thought back to what she had said to him about the 4th side and made the decision to go investigate why she had forbade him from hunting there. He arrived to find himself in a jungle with lots of parrots living there as the only inhabitants. The young Raja fired at a few of them, and all of them immediately took off into the air. All but one, namely their Raja, also known as the Hiraman parrot. The Hiraman parrot yelled to the other parrots, "Don't fly away and leave me alone when the Raja's son shoots," when he discovered that he was left alone. "I'll inform Princess Labam if you leave me in such a manner." The parrots all then chattered as they flew back to their Raja. The prince was very surprised and exclaimed, "Why, these birds can talk." He then asked the parrots, "Who is the Princess Labam? Where does she live?" But they refused to tell him. "You will never be able to enter the Princess Labam's nation." That is all they would say. When they refused to give him any further information, the prince became upset and threw his gun into the trash before returning home. When he got home, he appeared to be very ill and would not speak or eat for 4 or 5 days. He eventually informed his parents that he wanted to visit the Princess Labam. "I have to see how she is, so I must go," he said. "Give me the name of her nation." His parents responded, "We don't know where it is." The prince replied, "I'd better go look for it now." "You mustn't leave us," they pleaded. "No, no. We only have you, son. Follow along. The Princess Labam won't ever be found." The prince said, "I must attempt to locate her. Perhaps God will lead me, you say. If I find her and am still alive, I will return to you. If not, I may pass away and never see you again. I must still leave." They cried a lot saying goodbye to him, but they had to let him go. His father gave him a fine horse and nice clothes to wear. He then took his gun, his bow and arrows, as well as a large number of other weapons, saying that he might need them in the future. He received a lot of rupees from both his parents. Then he prepared his own horse for the journey and bid his parents farewell. His mother then took her handkerchief, wrapped some candy in it, and gave it to her son. She told him, "My child, eat some of these sweetmeats when you're hungry." His journey began at that point, and he continued riding until he arrived at a jungle with a tank and shade-giving trees. After bathing both himself and his horse in the tank, he took a seat beneath a tree. "I'm going to eat some of the sweetmeats my mother gave me, I'm going to drink some water, and then I'm going to continue on my journey," he thought to himself. He removed a sweet treat from his handkerchief after opening it. In it, he discovered an ant. He produced another. In that one too, an ant appeared. He then placed the 2 sweetmeats on the ground and began to remove one after another until he had removed them all. However, in each one, he discovered an ant. He muttered, "Never mind. The ants will eat the sweetmeats." When the ant Raja arrived, he approached him and said, "You have been kind to us. If you ever find yourself in trouble, just think of me, and we'll come to you." After saying thank you, the Raja's son alighted from his horse and continued on his journey. He continued riding until he reached another jungle, where he came across a tiger that had a thorn in his foot and was roaring in agony. The young Raja questioned, "Why do you roar like that? Why are you acting so strangely?" The tiger replied, "I have a thorn in my foot and it has hurt me so much for 12 years, that is why I roar." "I'll take it out for you," the Raja's son replied. "But given that you're a tiger, maybe you'll try to eat me after I've healed you." "Oh no, I won't eat you," the tiger said. "Please make me feel better." The prince then removed the thorn from the tiger's foot using a small knife he had in his pocket, but as he did so, the tiger roared even louder than before, causing his wife to hear him in the adjacent jungle and run over to see what was wrong. When the tiger saw her approaching, he took the prince and hid him in the jungle so she wouldn't see him. The wife asked, "What man did you feel threatened by that you roared so loud?" The husband responded, "No one hurt me, but a Raja's son came and pulled the thorn out of my foot." His wife demanded, "Show me him, tell me where he is." "I'll call him if you promise not to kill him," the tiger said. The husband's wife replied, "I won't kill him, just let me see him." When the Raja's son arrived, the tiger and his wife made him numerous salams after the tiger called the son of the Raja. He stayed with them for 3 days after receiving a nice dinner from them. He observed the tiger's foot each day, and by the 3rd day it was almost completely healed. After that, he bid the tigers farewell, and one of them urged him to remember him in times of need so that we could assist him. The Raja's son continued to ride until he reached a 3rd jungle. Here he discovered 4 fakirs whose teacher and master had passed away and left them with 4 items: a bed that carried whoever sat on it wherever they chose to go, a bag that gave its owner whatever he desired, whether it be jewels, food, or clothes, a stone bowl that gave its owner as much water as he desired, regardless of how far he might be from a tank, and a stick and rope, to which its owner had to say, "If anyone." These 4 issues were the source of conflict among the 4 fakirs. People would say, "I want this, you cannot have it because I want it," and so on. "Do not argue over these things," the Raja's son admonished them. "I'll release 4 arrows, each traveling in a different direction. I'll give the bed to whoever gets there before me and shoots the first arrow. Whoever reaches the second arrow will win the bag, the second item. The bowl will belong to the person who locates the 3rd arrow. The stick and rope are the last items, so whoever pulls off the 4th arrow will get them." They concurred, and the prince released his first arrow. The fakirs rushed to get it. He fired off the second when they returned with it, the 3rd when they found it and brought it to him, and the 4th when they brought him the 3rd. The Raja's son took the bowl, the stick and rope, and the bag with him while they were searching for the 4th arrow. He then sat on the bed while his horse was let loose in the jungle. "Bed, I want to go to the country of the Princess Labam," he then said. The tiny bed immediately leaped into the air and started to fly. It continued to fly until it reached the Princess Labam's country, where it came to rest on the ground. "Whose country is this?" the son of the Raja inquired of some men he saw. They replied, "The Princess Labam's country." The prince continued until he arrived at a house and saw an elderly woman inside. She asked, "Who are you? Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from a faraway country, please let me stay with you tonight." "No," she replied, "I am unable to let you stay with me. Our king has ordered that men from other countries be prohibited from staying in his country. You cannot stay at my house. You're my aunt, so please let me stay with you for this one night," the prince said. "You see, it is getting dark, and if I venture into the jungle, wild animals will eat me. You are welcome to stay here tonight, but you must leave tomorrow morning because the king will have me arrested and put in prison if he finds out that you spent the night in my home." The Raja's son was overjoyed when she then brought him into her home. He stopped the elderly woman in her tracks as she started to make dinner and said, "Auntie, I'll give you food." He asked his bag, "I want some dinner," and it immediately produced a delectable meal served up on 2 gold plates. The Raja's son and the elderly woman then shared a meal. Following their meal, the elderly woman remarked, "Now I'll fetch some water." The prince commanded, "Don't go. You'll immediately have access to plenty of water." He then took his bowl and commanded it, "Bowl, I want some water," and it immediately filled. When it was filled, the bowl ceased to fill as a result of the prince's cry to "Stop, bowl. I can always get as much water as I want with this bowl, you see, Auntie," he said. Nightfall arrived at this point. "Why don't you light a lamp, Auntie?" the Raja's son asked. She said, "There is no need. As soon as it gets dark, our king's daughter, Princess Labam, comes and sits on her roof and shines so brightly that she lights up the entire country and our homes, allowing us to see to work as if it were day. For this reason, the king has forbade the people of his country from lighting any lamps." The princess got up when it was nearly pitch black out. She put on her opulent clothing and jewelry, rolled up her hair, and placed a band of diamonds and pearls across her head. Later, she shone like the moon, turning the night into day with her beauty. She left her room and sat on the royal palace's roof. She spent the entire day inside her home, only leaving at night. Then, everyone in her father's nation set to work and completed it. The prince was ecstatic as he quietly observed the princess. "How beautiful she is," he thought to himself. When everyone had gone to bed at midnight, the princess descended from her roof and entered her room. The Raja's son then softly rose from his bed and sat down. "I want to go to the Princess Labam's bedroom." "Bed," he said to it. The tiny bed then carried him into the room where she was sound asleep. The young Raja took his bag and said, "I want a lot of betel leaf," and it immediately gave him large amounts of betel leaf. He placed this close to the princess's bed, after which his tiny bed carried him back to the elderly woman's home. The betel leaf was discovered the following morning and started being eaten by all of the princess's servants. The princess questioned, "Where did you get all that betel leaf?" The staff replied, "We located it close to your bed." Nobody realized the prince had brought everything there during the night. The elderly woman visited the son of the Raja in the morning. "It's morning now," she said, "and you need to leave, because the king will take me away if he finds out everything I did for you." The prince pleaded with his aunt, "Please let me stay until tomorrow morning. I am not feeling well today." "Good," the elderly woman said. He remained, and they removed their dinner from the bag while receiving water from the bowl. The princess rose when night fell and sat on her roof. At midnight, when everyone had gone to bed, she went to her bedroom and quickly fell asleep. When the son of the Raja was ready, he climbed into bed and was carried over to the princess. "Bag, I want a most beautiful shawl," he said, taking out his bag. It provided him with a magnificent shawl, which he draped over the sleeping princess. He then returned to the old woman's home and slept there until dawn. The princess was thrilled to see the shawl in the morning. "Kuda must have given me this shawl because it is so lovely," your daughter said, pointing to it. Her mother also expressed her happiness. "Kuda must have given you this beautiful shawl, my child," she replied. The elderly woman instructed the Raja's son to leave as soon as it was morning. He replied, "Auntie, I'm not well enough yet. Give me a few more days to stay, so that no one can see me, I'll stay hidden inside your home." Therefore, the elderly woman permitted him to remain. The princess dressed in her lovely jewels and clothing when it was pitch black out and sat on her roof. She entered her room at midnight and went to sleep. When she was ready, the Raja's son flew to her bedroom while sitting on his bed. "Bag, I want a very, very beautiful ring," he said to his bag at that point. A magnificent ring was given to him by the bag. She started to stand up very frightened as he took Princess Labam's hand to gently put on the ring. She asked the prince, "Who are you? Why have you come to my room, and from where do you come?" He assured the princess, "Do not be alarmed, I am no thief. My father is a great Raja. After hearing your name from a hireman parrot who lives in the jungle where I went hunting, I left my parents and came to see you." The princess responded, "Well, as you are the son of such a great Raja, I will not have you killed, and I will inform my parents that I wish to wed you." When morning came, the princess told her mother, "The son of a great Raja has come to this country, and I wish to marry him." The prince then went back to the old woman's home. Her mother informed the king of this. "Good, but if this Raja's son wants to wed my daughter, he must first comply with my instructions," the king said. "I'll kill him if he fails. I will give him 80 pounds of mustard seed, and he must crush the oil in 1 day from this. He will perish if he is unable to do this." The elderly woman was informed by the Raja's son in the morning that the princess would be his bride. "Oh, you should leave this country and don't even consider getting married to her," the elderly woman advised. Her father ordered the execution of all the Rajas and Raja's sons who had come to this location to wed her. He claims that anyone who wants to marry his daughter must first follow his instructions. If he succeeds, he will wed the princess; if not, the king will have him executed. However, no one is able to carry out the king's orders, and as a result, all of the Rajas and Raja's sons who have attempted it have been executed. If you try, you will also die. Do leave." But no matter what she said, the prince would not pay attention. The prince was sent by the king to the old woman's home, and the Raja's son was brought by his servants to the king's courthouse. At that point, the king gave him 80 pounds of mustard seed and instructed him to press all the oil out of it the same day before bringing it the following morning to the courthouse. He instructed the prince, "Whoever wishes to marry my daughter must first do everything I tell him. If not, I have him killed. Therefore, you will perish if you are unable to extract every drop of oil from this mustard seed." When the prince learned this, he was deeply sorry. He asked himself, "How can I crush the oil out of all this mustard seed in 1 day? If I do not, the king will kill me." He delivered the mustard seed to the elderly woman, but he was at a loss for what to do. The Ant Raja and his ants appeared to him as soon as he at last remembered them. The Ant Raja asked, "Why do you look so depressed?" The prince explained the mustard seed to him and warned him that if he did not take the oil to the king the following morning, he would be killed. "How can I crush the oil out of all this mustard seed in 1 day?" he asked. "Be content," the Ant Raja advised. "Lie down and sleep. We will extract all the oil for you during the day, and the following morning you must deliver it to the king." While the Raja's son was dozing off, ants crushed the oil for him. Once he saw the oil, the prince was ecstatic. He delivered it to the king at the courthouse the following morning. "You still can't marry my daughter," the king replied. "To do that, you must first engage in combat with and exterminate my 2 demons." The king once captured 2 demons, but he imprisoned them in a cage because he was unsure of what to do with them. He lacked the knowledge of how to kill them and was afraid to let them loose for fear they would devour every human in his nation. So, in order to marry the Princess Labam, all the kings and kings' sons had to battle these demons, for, the king thought to himself, perhaps the demons may be killed, and then I shall be rid of them. The Raja's son was very depressed when he learned about the demons. He pondered, "What can I do?" to himself. The Raja's son responded, "The king has ordered me to fight with his 2 demons and kill them. How can I fight with these 2 demons?" And the tiger and his wife asked him why he was crying. "Don't be scared," the tiger said. "How can I do this? Experience joy. I'll fight alongside my wife for you." The Raja's son then pulled 2 exquisite coats from his bag. They were all made of gold and silver and covered in diamonds and pearls. "Yes," the king responded, not caring who killed his demons as long as they were killed. These he put on the tigers to make them beautiful, and he took them to the king and asked him if they could battle his demons on his behalf. The Raja's son replied, "Call your demons, these tigers will battle them." The king did this, and the tigers and the demons engaged in a protracted battle until the tigers eventually defeated the demons. The king deemed that to be positive. "But before I give you my daughter, you need to take care of something else. I have a kettle drum in the sky. Defeat it by going there. I'll kill you if you can't accomplish this." When the son of the Raja thought of his tiny bed, he went to the old woman's home and sat on it. "The king's kettle drum is in the sky, little bed," he said. "I want to attend." The Raja's son beat the drum as the bed rose up with him, and the king heard him. However, the king refused to give him his daughter when he descended. The prince has completed the 3 tasks he instructed him to complete, but there is still one more thing that needs to be completed. The son of the Raja responded, "If I can, I will." The king then took him to a tree trunk that was lying close to his courthouse. Its trunk was extraordinarily thick. He gave the prince a wax hatchet and instructed him to split the trunk in half the next morning. The son of the Raja returned to the residence of the elderly woman. The Raja would definitely kill him now, he thought, feeling very depressed. "I had the ants crush out his oil," he thought to himself. "I made the tigers kill his demons. I beat his kettle drum with the help of my bed. What can I do now? How am I supposed to use a wax hatchet to split that thick tree trunk in 2? He visited the princess in the evening while lying in bed. "She would be murdered by your father tomorrow," he told her. The princess questioned, "Why?" "He instructed me to use a wax hatchet to split a thick tree trunk in 2. The son of the Raja asked, "How can I ever do that?" "Do as I say, and you can easily cut it in half." "Do not be afraid," the princess urged. She then gave the prince a hair that she had pulled out of her head. She instructed them to tell the tree trunk, "The Princess Labam commands you to let yourself be cut in 2 by this hair, when no one else was around. Then, drag the hair along the wax hatchet's blade's edge." The prince followed the princess' instructions exactly the following day, and as soon as the hatchet blade's extended edge touched a tree trunk, the hair that had been hanging down split in half. "Now you can wed my daughter," the king declared. The marriage then took place. There were jubilant celebrations as all the rajas and kings of the surrounding nations were invited to attend. The prince's son said to his wife, "Let's go to my father's country," after a few days had passed. The father of the Princess Labam gave them a large number of camels, horses, rupees, and servants. They then traveled in great state to the prince's country, where they lived happily. The only item the prince never needed to use was the stick, because no one ever came to wage war against him. The prince always kept his bag, bowl, bed, and stick.